Welcome to the Wits and Weights podcast. I'm your host, Philip Pape, and this twice-a-week podcast is dedicated to helping you achieve physical self-mastery by getting stronger, optimizing your nutrition, and upgrading your body composition. We'll uncover science-backed strategies for movement, metabolism, muscle, and mindset with a skeptical eye on the fitness industry so you can look and feel your absolute best. Let's dive right in. Wits and Weights community, this is neither a solo episode, nor an interview, nor technically a bonus episode. It is a special announcement of an upcoming challenge that we are doing starting this Monday, October 2nd in the Wits and Weights Facebook community. And I wanted to put this out because this will turn into at least one, if not more, podcast episodes as I break down the details of my personal experience that led to the challenge and the challenge itself, which will be an aggressive fat loss phase that I'm going to be going through. Initially, I thought to myself, let me just try this as an experiment. I've been recovering from surgery. I've gotten back into lifting. I'm starting to push heavy again. I still can't do all my lifts, of course, because of my left rotator cuff continuing to rehab, but I've gained a little bit of extra weight than I intended during this building phase in the form of fat, simply because I haven't had the training stimulus that I otherwise would have had. And I thought to myself, well, I recently had a conversation with Dr. Bill Campbell out of University of South Florida. Most, if not everyone listening here, probably knows that name. He was on the show earlier. I can put the episode in the show notes. I don't have it off the top of my head, but he and I were talking about how his lab was conducting research into short-term, very aggressive fat loss, meaning more aggressive than you would normally have. Normally, we peg the upper limit of fat loss at 1% of your body weight per week. But in his lab, he's going to a deficit of about 40% of calories, which ends up at about 1.2 to 1.4% of your body weight per week. Now, he doesn't think in those terms of percentage body weight per week. He does a relative deficit to your maintenance calories, but you can think of it either way. And the point is, we talked about that, and that was like I think that was a 2-week protocol at a 40% deficit. Then in his most recent Body by Science research review, he talked about an even more aggressive deficit of a 45% for only 8 days. 4 days plus a refeed day plus 4 more days. And I thought to myself, why don't I try my own experiment where I extend that by an extra refeed and 4 days. So instead of doing 8 days, it ends up being 12 days with 2 refeeds for a total of 14 days, but at the more aggressive 45% deficit to see if I can shed about 4 or 5 pounds of pure body fat, hold onto the muscle, and just for fun, be able to tell all of you about it, whether or not it worked. And then I thought, why don't I recruit a whole bunch of other folks who want to try this themselves as well into a free challenge in the group. So I'm calling it Shredtober, the 14-day Fat Loss Annihilation Challenge. And the thing you have to know is that not everyone is ready for or prepared physically, let alone psychologically, but physically, to do such a fat loss phase. I would only recommend this, and I actually have some eligibility requirements for the challenge, although anyone can join and follow along, but to be eligible to say that you completed it and then to win one of the prizes I have at the end, you would have to be eligible, because I want to make sure that you're in the right place for this. And this would apply whether you're doing it now or you're listening to the show, this particular episode and the upcoming podcast episodes a year to 5 years from now. So the main eligibility is that you are already tracking your food and weight and you understand what is required to change your body composition. So you've potentially been in one or more muscle building phases, one or more fat loss phases, which probably also means you're training and you've been training for at least, let's say, 3 months. That's kind of the minimum I like to throw out there. You've been barbell training or heavy lifting for at least 3 months, and that you currently are at maintenance or in a surplus, and you have not been dieting for a while. And a while means maybe at least a month you've been out of a diet. The more, the better. So for me personally, I've been either at maintenance or in a surplus now for quite a few months, well before my surgery and then since then as well. So those are the basic eligibility requirements. But again, you can still join, which is totally free. You would get onto our Zoom call in 2 days. So today's Wednesday. This episode's coming out. So in 2 days, on Friday, September 9, we have a Zoom call at 12 p.m. Eastern, totally free. Okay, so the link will be in the show notes, where all you have to do is join our community and you'll be able to access that Zoom link. And then when you're on that, then you get into the Telegram group that we're going to have, which is like a group chat, where for 2 weeks, everyone who's following along, whether you're doing the challenge or not, will get free access to coaching and asking me questions about the process as we go along, while I also am personally learning about this aggressive fat loss. Now, I'm calling this a micro cut. So we have standard fat loss phases that are usually 12 to 16 weeks or longer, that are usually at a moderate rate of loss. Then we have mini cuts that are usually 6 to 10 weeks or so at a more aggressive rate, up to about 1% of your body weight per week, which is a typical cut that I would follow myself nowadays, that I've been a trainee for a while. And then I'm calling this a micro cut of 2 weeks at a very aggressive rate, which amounts to about 1.2 to 1.4% per week. So it's a very aggressive deficit. It's not for everyone. And it is purely for self-experimentation to see whether it's possible to lose a decent amount of fat in a short period of time while still holding on to muscle. Now, a few things attracted me to this possibility. First, I did reach out to Dr. Bill Campbell and I said, hey, I'm going to do this. Do you have any feedback? He asked me for a plan. I gave him a plan. He wrote back. He said, looks good. He actually also suggested that I, in addition to measuring my circumference measurements, that I also use an in-body scan before and after. Now, anyone who listens to the show knows that I am not a big fan of body fat measurement devices because of their natural inaccuracies, their error range. But I also have said that if you do a measurement like that under the same conditions with the same machine, the change from one point to another can be helpful, right? Even if the actual data, the actual number is not really to be believed. So that was the feedback he had. And I said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and run this, and I want to get him the data. And I thought if people wanted to participate in a challenge, perhaps we can get some more case studies that way as well. And then I can report out on all of this to you as the listener as to how effective this is. Because part of physique coaching, part of physique engineering is not necessarily doing the same thing everyone else does, or what the norm population result shows is the way to go in the research. It's kind of pushing the limits and seeing what's possible and not taking anything for granted. So skepticism is a major premise of this show, and I am always skeptical that any one right answer is the right answer. So here we go. We're going to do the challenge. It's going to start on October 2nd for 2 weeks. You can definitely join and either follow along or participate in the challenge yourself. There'll be some prizes, like some free supplements at the end of it from First Form. I'm a big fan of them, very high quality supplements. And honestly, I wasn't even thinking of doing prizes for this challenge, because I think the reward of going through it, of learning, of getting coached, and then losing a few pounds of pure fat, holding onto that muscle, is a priceless experience for anyone to go through, myself included. So the prizes are just extra goodies for fun. And that's it. So if you're curious about exactly what we're going to do, that's where you want to join the challenge and show up to the call on Friday. There will be a replay available, but you have to register for it ahead of time so I know to send you that replay. And in that call, I'm going to go over the exact protocol. So I just gave you a taste of it, right? It's 4 days in an aggressive deficit, 1 day refeed, 4 days, 1 day refeed, and then 4 days. But there are a lot of nuances about setting up macros, what to measure, your activity, your training, managing stress on your body, like all the things we normally talk about, but in this very compressed schedule. What kind of trade-offs can we make? What things can we push versus what things we have to back off? What do we do for our protein? What do we do for our carbs? Not just the number, but the timing, and what's going to affect what when. How do we really hold on to the muscle when we're going at such an aggressive rate of loss? And what kind of tools are we going to use to track, and so on. Also, during the challenge, I'm going to be throwing out all sorts of, free goodies, guides, resources, videos, really high value stuff that helps everyone get through the process, because things are going to come up. People are going to get hungry because of the deficit. The carbs are going to be pretty low. We're going to wonder how to deal with that. And training, right? There's going to be questions about training. And during the challenge, we're all going to be in a group chat. I'll be able to answer your questions there. So again, this is really a really cool opportunity. There's no cost, no price. I'm not selling anything. I literally just wanted to take what will be my personal experiment, give myself some more accountability, selfishly, but also give you the opportunity to follow along and learn everything I learned in real time, and then come out of it, with a lot more knowledge than before, and a fantastic experience. So if you want to join in on the Shredtober 14-day Fat Loss Annihilation Challenge that starts on Monday, October 2nd, you must register by clicking the link in my show notes for the Wits and Weights Facebook community. You have to be in the community because that's where we're going to post some of the updates and have some of the accountability that goes with this, and also where I keep some of the links and the link to register and stuff like that. So click the link for the Wits and Weights Facebook community in the show notes. It's going to be a super exciting, very aggressive fat loss phase where you can lose on average, 3 to 5 pounds of pure fat. This is not a weight loss challenge. This is a fat loss challenge. You're going to be training hard, giving yourself that muscle stimulus, eating lots of protein, keeping the macros where they need to be, and managing all the other things we're going to talk about to successfully lose that fat, but not lose muscle. And that is the key. Aggressive fat loss. I'll be talking more about that topic in general on this show in the future. I'll do probably a during challenge recording and then one after it. And then maybe if I have a chance to follow up with Dr. Campbell, maybe see if he can come on the show. We'll see how this all goes. But click the link. If you have questions, reach out to me. The links are also in my show notes of how to reach me by IG at Wits and Weights. You can reach me by email or just in the community itself. All right, that's it. So this was a special announcement episode. That's all I have for you today. And I'm going to leave it at that. And as always, stay strong. And thank you for tuning in and subscribing to the Wits and Weights podcast. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Wits and Weights. If you found value in today's episode and know someone else who's looking to level up their wits or weights, please take a moment to share this episode with them. And make sure to hit the follow button in your podcast platform right now to catch the next episode. Until then, stay strong.